Welcome to lesson 4, and this lesson will be on the title page. So far in lesson 1 we've learned what APA style is. In lesson 2 we covered locating and reading source materials, and lesson 3 we discussed organizing the research paper. Now the title page section of this lesson we're going to learn about how to create a header. But not only are we going to create a header, we're going to also make sure that that header is different on consecutive pages. So, for example, the second page here, you see that there's no running head title, as you see here on the first page. We'll also discuss how it is to format the page. We'll talk about margins, and we'll also go over briefly the author's note. So let's get started. We'll start from a blank page, and what you'd want to do is you'd want to make sure that your fonts are set correctly. Now, I've seen students type in all different formats. I've seen the Arial format, Calibri. The format for APA style is always going to be Times New Roman, and it's always going to be in a 12-point font. So you'd want to go ahead and get that set up if it's not already a default on your program. Once you've done that, you'd want to make sure that all of your text is aligned to the left. It should not be justified. It should not be aligned to the right. It should also not be centered. In addition, you'd want to make sure that none of your italics, underlines, or bolds are selected. Now from here, what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and get started on our header. I should mention, before you do that, you'd want to check your page layout and make sure that your margins are also set from 1 inch by 1 inch, top, bottom, left, and right. Now once you go to insert, we can then go from there and get our header started. So what we want to do is we want to go ahead and insert a header. And once you click header, what I normally do is I can start with this very simple one right here. You'd want to select different first page, and then we'll start with the page number, which you'll go to the top of the page like that. From here, what I do is I press Control R, and that'll bring me all the way over to my left. So what we're trying to do is we're trying to flush everything right. I know that sounds kind of backwards, but that's what we're trying to do. And we'll start by typing our running head and making sure that it's not in all caps. The title is just your uppercase R, lowercase h, running head with a colon. From here you'll press your cap locks, and then you'll enter your running head. Now your running head is an abbreviated title which is typed flush left at the top of the first title page. So we'll start with false memory in depression. At this point you can tab, and that'll take your page number back where it's supposed to be, which is flushed right. Now, from here, let's go ahead and take care of our second header. Remember, in our header document, when we were in there, we selected, and I can't select it from here, but we selected different first page. So what we want to do is we want to go to our second page, and you could just enter all the way down until you get there. And then we'd want to come here again and type in what it is we're looking for. So we'll start with page number. Same thing, top of page to the right. You'll see it automatically recognizes that this is page number 2. we can do Control R again, but this time instead of writing or typing in running head, we want this to be different. We're actually going to go ahead and type in our abbreviated running head title, which is False Memory in Depression, and then we're going to tab back over to our right margin. Now you'll see that the first header looks a lot different from your second page header, and if you want to make sure, if you enter all the way down to page 3, you'll see that it follows everything after page 2 without running head. So that's usually something that students run into. They know how to create a header, but they don't quite know how to get your header to be different on every other page. So the main thing is you'd want to go to your header, and from here you'd want to make sure you select different first page. Once this is selected, you'd then be free to create a second header that all of your other pages will be able to follow. So let me go back. And we're back onto the very first page. You'd want to come down, not too far down. I like to follow this ruler right here and fall right between 2 and 3 to get started on my title. So to center it, you can either click here, or you can press Control E, and from here you'll start with your title. Now your title is always going to be in centered, and it's always going to be on the upper half of the first page of the manuscript, and it's always going to be typed in upper and lowercase letters. So let's go ahead and get started here. In this case, it's going to be sadder and less accurate. False memory for negative material in depression. Directly below your title, you'll have your name and your university affiliation. Very simple. Now, if you're a graduate student, or maybe you're a doctoral student, your postgrad, you may also have to include what's called an author's note. That's also going to be centered. Well, the title of author note is going to be centered, but when you start typing, you're going to go back to your left margin, and you're going to tab because you need to indent when it is you start with your author note. Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to come back to document 1, because I did say I was going to go over the author note pretty briefly. As it shows here, in this particular case, John Doe is from the Department of Psychology of the University of Miami. This research is supported by a grant from the NIH in affiliation with the University of Central Florida. Special thanks to Professor Jane Sykes for her help in preparation of this manuscript. Correspondence concerning this article should be addressed to John Doe, Department of Psychology, University of Miami, 111 Main Street, Miami, Florida, and it gives the zip code and email. This is pretty much the format of what it is an author note is going to look like. It's not a requirement if you're an undergrad, because chances are if you're doing undergraduate research, you might not have to go to any type of research board to get approval or receive any type of grant for your research. It's going to be on a very small scale, so this may not be necessary if you're doing a regular research paper. This is more for the upperclassmen, the graduate students, those who are writing master theses, dissertations, and such. It's helpful to know, but not a requirement in your undergraduate or first year careers. So this is pretty much what it is your end product would look like, your title page. Again, you have the running head. Your running header is going to look different from your second and every other page after that header. You want to make sure that you have your page numbers on there, and of course your title is going to be in uppercase and lowercase letters. You always want to include your name, and you can also include your university affiliation. So in this lesson we've covered the title page. In lesson 5 we'll go ahead and get started on our abstract. Well, thank you so much, and I look forward to speaking with you guys then.